Evolution spent 20 million years perfecting a blade, only to find it had nothing left to cut. You look at the yellowed, 8-inch canine tooth. You trace the serrated edges. Microscopic ridges designed to part flesh with zero resistance. The skull hinges open against a dark backdrop. An impossible 120-degree angle. Black tar drips from the pale bone. You think of the saber-toothed tiger as a brute. You picture a prehistoric brawler tearing through the ice age with raw, crushing power. Human scientists once looked at these bones and named it Hyena neogaia, a scavenging dog. They were wrong. They misunderstood the architecture. We project our own logic onto nature. We assume massive teeth require massive force. This is not a brawler. Smilodon possesses a bite force of exactly 1,000 newtons. 225 pounds of pressure per square inch. 4 times weaker than a modern lion. The jaw strength of a domestic Labrador. The teeth themselves are fragile. Elongated strips of glass carbon that snap if they strike solid bone. Yet this creature commands the continent. A 470-kilogram predator with a fragile mouth. How does an animal with a weak jaw and brittle weaponry rule an empire of giants? You assume ruthlessness. You assume a solitary, cold-blooded killer. But deep in the fossil record, there is a pelvis riddled with hip dysplasia. A crippled Smilodon. Healed bone. It survived for years. It ate. Something fed it. A ruthless machine providing healthcare to its broken kin. This empathy seems out of place. It is not. It is the exact mechanism that will destroy them. But to understand their death, you must first look past the teeth. You must look at the chassis. The true weapon is not in the mouth. Smilodon Populator reaches maximum density. 470 kilograms of muscle. The mass of a medium polar bear compacted into a feline frame. Look at the forelimbs. They are 20% thicker than any cat alive today. Forelimbs, a biological hydraulic press. They do not swipe. They do not bat. They drop multi-ton megafauna directly into the earth. The forearms execute a single, brutal function. Immobilization. Fragile teeth cannot risk a thrashing target. The body evolves to pin the prey flat against the soil. Torque overpowers resistance. Muscle density creates inescapable gravity. The target must be entirely locked before the blades descend. Finding the exact surgical strike point requires a different kind of machinery. The sensory system is calibrated for precision. Binocular vision. Intense depth perception locked onto a singular coordinate of the prey's anatomy. The auditory cortex is tuned to specific wavelengths. 60 Hertz. The low, rumbling distress call of a dying mammoth calf. This is the predator trap frequency. Auditory canals, a military target lock system. The Smilodon does not just hunt. It calibrates distance for a high-velocity collision. It reads the environment. It filters out the ambient noise of the Pleistocene. The snapping of distant glaciers. The howling of dire wolves. None of it matters. Only the 60 Hz vibration triggers the attack sequence. The Pleistocene wind carries the scent of blood across the frost-choked plains, masking the heavy, silent footfalls of a half-ton assassin as it closes the final gap between shadows. Absolute silence. Then, the collision. The sternum smash. Imagine a slow-motion X-ray. Electric cyan impact lines fracturing the dark obsidian background. It hits the prey. With the force of a falling anvil. A biological battering ram transferring kinetic energy. The shockwave ripples through the chest cavity of a giant sloth. Ribs compress. Lungs expel oxygen. The victim collapses. The hydraulic press locks the limbs. The prey is pinned. Now, the jaw opens. 120 degrees. Jaw hinge, a calibrated mechanical pivot. It stretches until the muscle fibers burn. A modern lion bites down to crush the windpipe. It relies on asphyxiation. A slow, agonizing suffocation that takes minutes. Smilodon does not have minutes. Smilodon operates in seconds. It must turn its head sideways to bypass the massive canines. It engages the back teeth first. Blade-like carnassials, an industrial shearing machine. They slice through the thick outer layers of hide and muscle. They clear the path. Then the killing blow descends. The 8-inch daggers engage. Canines, surgical scalpels. They do not crush bone. They do not bludgeon vertebrae. Striking a cervical vertebra would shatter the tooth instantly. Instead, they slip past the armor. They sink into the soft tissue of the throat. They sever the carotid artery with zero friction. Blood pressure drops to 0 in 3 seconds. The brain starves. The prey goes limp. The weak jaw does not matter. The Smilodon does not bite to hold. It bites to delete. Mecharodontony, a forgotten lineage of biological assassins. Absolute, hyper-efficient specialization. The weakness of the jaw is a mirage. A distraction. It traded blunt force for mechanical perfection. It is a biological war machine engineered for a single, flawless motion. But absolute perfection requires an absolute environment. Plunge into the quaternary extinction. Step into the La Brea tar pits. Atmospheric weight compresses the lungs. The cold air bites the flesh. The earth itself bleeds a thick, black resin. Natural asphalt seeps to the surface from deep subterranean fissures. It forms sticky, reflective pools. Rainwater gathers on top. It looks like a drinking sanctuary. It is an abyss. A young mastodon steps into the water. Its foot sinks. The asphalt grips the bone. The animal panics. It releases a 60 Hertz distress call. The sound echoes for miles across the glacial plain. Below the surface, the tar is a suffocating void. Viscera liquefies over millennia. Oxygen is choked out. It preserves everything it consumes. 160,000 bones compacted into a single geological graveyard. The tar pits are a predator trap. They weaponize the Smilodon's own biology against it. The auditory sensors lock onto the distress call. The 470-kilogram machine charges out of the brush. It launches into the pool to secure the kill. The hydraulic press strikes the asphalt. The forelimbs sink. The pressure holds them. The more it struggles, the deeper it goes. The prey is trapped, and now the predator is trapped beside it. For 2.5 million years, this species survived. It evolved from Megantereon. It dominated the Pleistocene. But 10,000 years ago, the environment shudders. The ice retreats. The temperature rises. The giants begin to disappear. The massive sloths, the mastodons, the heavily armored prey. They fall away. The surgical scalpel is left in a world of quick, agile deer and small mammals. A blade with nothing massive left to cut. You cannot use an 8-inch scalpel to catch a rabbit. The teeth become a liability. The 470-kilogram chassis requires too much fuel. The changing climate loads the gun of extinction. The loss of the giants cocks the hammer. But the Smilodon's own greatest virtue pulls the trigger. You assume evolution favors the strong. You believe in the survival of the fittest. You think being the apex predator guarantees a place in tomorrow. You are mistaken. Smilodon is a hyper-specialist. Being the fittest for a specific environment means you are erased the moment that environment jitters. It traded versatility for lethal perfection. It cornered itself in an evolutionary dead end. Remember the healed pelvis. The crippled kin from the fossil record. The pseudo-healthcare. This is the final, devastating paradox. They possessed profound social bonds. They felt a visceral empathy for their pack. When a Smilodon sinks into the black tar, it screams. Its distress call travels across the wind. The pack hears it. The brothers, the sisters, the mates. They do not run away. They run toward the danger. They leap into the tar to save their drowning kin. One by one, the black asphalt swallows them. Whole families calcify in the dark. The exact same social bond that allowed them to heal their broken members lures hundreds of them into the earth. Their empathy is their trap. Human beings are the only living creatures that remember what these blades look like in motion. Deep in the Colombian Amazon, a 2021 discovery reveals petroglyphs carved into a rock face. Ancient humans stood in the tall grass. We watched them hunt. We watched them die. We paint their ghosts on stone walls to warn our children. We look back at them as primitive beasts. But look at your own world. Look at your rigid societal architecture. Your fragile technology. Your entire civilization is optimized for a very specific climate. A very specific temperature. You are a hyper-specialist. You are standing on the edge of the same tar pit. When the world changes, is it better to be the perfect blade or a blunt, versatile stone?